Ladies and gentlemen, in 1969, three things happened. The first man walked on the moon. Jimi Hendrix shredded his guitar at Woodstock. And Phafner was born. All right, for the first time in 42 years, Phafner is taking the stage live.
We just didn't want to be like every other band out there, and I don't think we were.
We lived on the farm. Spider and I lived on the farm. There weren't that many musicians around that you could even jam with, even practice with. And so we met Tom and Dale, and then Gus came in. It was just instant friendship. So it just turned into a natural thing that everybody had a different instrument and just formed the band.
I came out of the Army in September of '70. I came into the rock band that spring, the following spring of '71. And Steve Dunham, he was there, and he's the one that brought up the W Phafner, and we were like, yeah, why not? We don't care. So I think it was a change from the Blue Mist to W Phafner was to get our own new band, new name, new identity.
Talked about all these drugs, drug-induced music and all this stuff. We didn't take drugs. And that's the first thing I said to the guys now. I said, I don't do any of this stuff. He said, oh, good, neither do we. But we drink beer,
Yeah.
We never, ever were late for a gig, and we were never intoxicated until after the gig.
Back in those days, they always had a battle of the bands at the state fair. And you had to submit a tape. And, of course, we submitted the tape, and we got picked to come down and audition, and you were allowed to play 2 songs. First couple bands played, and then it came to our turn, and we did both songs of our own material. And when we got finished, everybody was just standing there, they'd never heard our music, and one of the judges came out and said, could you play one more? I said, sure. And so we played another one. By the time we finished, these other bands were setting up, all came over there, and they gave us a round of applause, which is a real tribute to me from the other Iowa bands. We were accepted, and we went up against another band that did a lot of Motown stuff. And of course, the people liked us, but the judges that were judging the Battle of the Bands, who could they compare us to? So we lost.
I
worked second shift. And I'd get off at 12:30, and one night I got into my car, was warming up, and there was KAY, Little Rock, Arkansas, Beaker Street with Clyde Clifford. And he comes on there with that gravelly voice. He says, I'm going to play you a song from a band in Central Iowa. And he's talking about us.
That was probably one of the biggest thrills you can imagine, to hear yourself on the radio. Wow, that was really something.
Our biggest gig is when we opened up for REO Speedwagon. We played all original music, and we got 2 standing ovations.
When you went on stage, you knew right in the first 2 or 3 chords if everybody's right on or if somebody's having problems, And we hit that first chord, and we were right on. You could sense it. And we rocked through our set, and we did the first encore, and we got the ovation, and we did a second encore, and we were only allowed 1 song. They wanted us for a third encore, and the promoter came up and said, I'm sorry, guys, you're done. I've got 2 other bands here under contract. Then the group called Touch from St. Louis followed us. They were into their second song, and the bass player blew his amp up. So instead of a thud, 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 you got a buzz, buzz, which ruined their set. And then, of course, REO came out, and they had their speakers all stacked up, their PA speakers on both sides of the stage. And they were on 8-foot tables. One of the table legs broke, and the speakers toppled into the crowd, broke a girl's arm, stopped their set for about 30 minutes. So that night, one of the biggest gigs of our life, and we ended up, in my opinion, topping both of them, because we just clicked.
I think that high has carried us even to now.
We get into the Iowa Hall of Fame, rock and roll. I think it's the recognition that everything we did when we were younger, it's reached fruition. Truly, just tack against the wall that what we did meant something.
As a band, as an Iowa band, we accomplished a lot. We wrote a lot of our own music, which was really great, which was something that set us apart from everybody else. But also, that we have probably the most collectible album of any Iowa group ever.
People said, wow, yeah, you were in Phafner. I mean, people remember, this many years later.
You feel good about it because you're listed in the top 1,000 most collectible records, in the world.
I just really feel good about we're that 223 out of 1,000 ever register a BMI or SCAP. I'm going, wow, and I got a standing ovation out of a class reunion just telling them about it. And that's a cloud. That's a cloud. Dale sent me a link on eBay, February of 2008. A copy sold for $5,000. Right underneath, Bruce Springsteen sold for a 45, sold for like 57.50 or something. Ours went for $5,000.
We were ahead of the Beatles on certain albums and ahead of Elvis on certain albums. You must have done something right. The band split up, and now here we're getting back together 42 years later, and nobody ever quit playing. We weren't playing together, but nobody quit playing. So when it came back together this time, it was like a family reunion. It just clicked.
When we started, turning up the damn amps and started stroking them strings, man, it was. I became 21 again.
Advice for aspiring musicians in Iowa is pretty simple. Practice, 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 and never quit. And if you have to take time off to do something else in your life, that's fine, but come back to it. Don't ever put your instrument back in the closet and not touch it again. Worst thing you can do.
Get your hands on every kind of music that you can. Listen to it all.
Don't be afraid to write your own music. Don't stay mainstream, just think outside that box.